An audio medium unlike anything you've ever heard before. The pinnacle of sound experience. Jacked and Canned. Featuring John Tessman and Colby Tyler. A place where you will get the information you crave and hear about the topics that you love. Presented by themselves. Coming to you from the basement, bar, and the bedroom. Sponsored by no one. Jacked and Canned.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sports Roundtable of Jacked and Canned. John, how are we doing this week, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. After a week of hiatus from the Sports Roundtable episode, it feels good to be back because if anybody saw the last YouTube video that was released, it was very short. It was about 3.5 minutes long. It was probably the worst audio that you've ever heard because me and Colbs were off sync because of technical difficulties. But Colbs, the Wi-Fi, the internet is now figured out. Thank God it's all due to having a new router. So I have a system that's working, Colbs. We're back. We're back. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to do anything last week, but being that it was the inaugural episode of Nobody is Shiftier under breaking down the tape under their media, I was okay that I wasn't able to dish out hot sports takes over here because at least I was able to put them somewhere in the atmosphere.
Now, did you go back and listen to the
No, I
intro?
still haven't. John. I apologize. I've been meaning to, and I know that you had texted me that you did something at the beginning of our episode, but I don't remember. or I
What's the
didn't
name of the
listen.
show once more?
Nobody is Shiftier.
That's it. Nobody is shiftier.
Yeah.
Okay, so I definitely hacked it. Ladies and gents, if you tuned into the Sports Roundtable and you tuned into this one, you're going to get a good kick out of this. And Colbs is going to find out a little bit later on tonight when he goes back and listens to it or whenever he does. Colbs, man, we're going to start off this episode like we always do. Who's on top?
Who's on top?
NHL playoffs. It is the Stanley Cup, Colbs. Tampa Bay Lightning, they prevailed. They beat the Rangers. I'm very disappointed. I thought they were going to pull it off. Rangers up 2-0 in the series and then kind of belly flopped. But it's the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Colorado Avalanche at it. Any thoughts on them, Colbs?
Yeah, I've got actually a pretty good bit here, John, now that you mention it. As far as that series goes, so we did see that Tampa was able to overcome the Rangers, who did start up 2-0 in the series. This ended up going to being a 6-game series for the Lightning, just took over starting game 3 forward. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the preview to the NHL final, we have now the series that has the storyline that everybody wanted. It's the team going for the three-peat against the team that's been the best team last year and second best in points this year. Now, granted, the Florida Panthers are somewhat of an exclusion, but they also have a roadblock in Tampa where I think mentally Tampa is inside Florida's head. Now, when we look at this, there's a couple of storylines to take away, John. If Tampa Bay three-peats, where does that put them in the pantheon of what recent sports history has been? What does that do? So that puts them in categories that are similar to that of like Shaq and Kobe, puts them in with the Spurs dynasty, the Pats dynasty, brings them into where the Heat won 2 titles back-to-back in the early 2010s, brings it to where the Warriors were over basically at this point the last 7 years because they have been now to another finals yet again. So this puts the Lightning into this category of teams that you classify them in. And I'm just curious where most people have that actually lying in their own records, because to me, I actually think all these other teams I just mentioned would be greater teams in this Lightning squad. But I think that's mostly because hockey's a random sport. This isn't a sport where you just see the best team always win. A lot of times in hockey, it's about who makes mistakes. So if it's just the Tampa that just doesn't make mistakes, then I don't necessarily think that that makes Tampa better than any of the other teams that I just listed off. But it does put them now in the category where you can have that conversation. Additionally, Colorado. Colorado was the best team in hockey last year, and then they randomly just bowed out in the playoffs. They just lost all their steam. Coming into this final series, John, the Avalanche are averaging 4.64 goals a game, giving up about 2.85 a game. Tampa is only scoring just over 3 goals a game and giving up about 2.5 a game. And if you take out the Panthers series, where they dominated the Panthers, but the Panthers again have a mental block on Tampa, they're giving up about 3 goals a game. So they've actually been pretty similar in goals for and goals against throughout the course of these playoffs. Also, Tampa's played 3 more playoff games than Colorado this year. And considering that this is also their 3rd straight year in the Stanley Cup Finals, do they have a little bit of fatigue? I don't know if it exists in hockey. I legitimately don't. Because in basketball, you see it. You don't see the teams that made it to the conference finals make it again the next year. But in hockey, these guys play with broken legs and shit. I don't know that I don't know that they feel fatigue. I don't know if that's a real life thing. So I'm gonna pay attention to it this year so I can actually make a conclusion on that, because I just realized after 30 years of watching sports, I have not a clue if anybody gets fatigued by playing hockey, because they're all animals. They're all monsters.
They are. They're just broken. So if a player's really out in any NHL game, you know that they're seriously injured or they're seriously sick.
I expect them to come out where they're just like on a hospital bed that's still on skates, and they just got a stick in their one good arm.
You know, it was like years ago when Kurt Schilling was pitching through, a pretty notorious game, and he had
A
the whole
bloody
bloody
sock.
sock. Now,
John,
that's a daily
that does not
basis for
compare.
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. It has nothing to compare against.
These guys will get a puck shot in their face, come out with a broken jaw, play the rest of the game, and then get their jaw wired shut, and then be coming back out there 2 nights later to play again.
Exactly. So in other sports, you'll have like a Kurt Schilling bloody sock. Like, is that a feat? Sure, I guess, right? But hockey players, no, it's normal. You just lose a tooth, you lose an eye, you lose a freaking finger, a toe. It's all just part of the
You
day's
get a
work.
skate to the neck. Like it's happened a couple of times. It's scary as hell. Like, honestly, it's terrifying if you ever look at the highlights on those. I don't know if you've ever seen one of them, John, but it's only happened a couple of times. But oh my god, it is terrifying. It's like, oh, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna watch something I really don't want to watch. These guys are the most animalistic people that have existed on this planet.
It's the only sport where it's just that savage. Like, you have a level of boxing in there with the
Well,
fights.
here's the thing. These guys aren't as technically sound as actual fighters, but I don't know that they're not tougher. These guys just go out there and they're like, yeah, you know what? If somebody hits me in the face with something moving 130 miles an hour, okay, I'll take it.
And you know what? That kind of mentality's led to one of my favorite movie series of all time for any NHL fans out there, The Goon.
Ah, The Goon. I
So
saw the first one. I didn't see the sequel, but the first one was really good.
Cobes was added to our list of movies that we have to see. Something else that we're going to add to our list of who's on top here is MLB standings. Why? Because Cobes doesn't care about MLB. So we're going to be fast. AL East, Yankees sitting on top over there. AL Central, Twins on top. AL West, Astros on top. National League, ooh, the NL East. This makes me so happy. The Mets are sitting on top still.
It's looking better and better for them, too. All the other teams are imploding.
Yes, but the Braves 10-0 out of the last 10 games, 36
Oh,
and
the Braves have
27.
gotten hot. Okay, I had heard about the Phillies and the Marlins not really getting there. I didn't hear anything about the Braves. I just made that as a general assumption. So the Braves are now coming to dethrone the Mets. You just wait till the All-Star break.
They're coming with some vengeance, and I noticed that you mentioned the Phillies. The Phillies just recently turning on the freaking Jets. 8-2 out of the last 10 games.
Really?
9
They turned it
games
up
back.
too. Oh my
Oh, yeah.
God. Okay. Well, shows you how much I pay attention to baseball. I'm going off of probably 2-week-old news.
Well, what happened with the Phillies there is Joe Girardi, their former manager, uh,
Yeah. That was the last I had heard, so I assumed that they were in the tank.
yeah, their former manager there. Joe Girardi's no longer with the organization. So for whatever that means, I don't know why if this is the reason for their winning streak or not. But hey, Phillies, they're here to play. So that's exciting. But Mets, please pull it off. NL Central, this one makes me happy, Colbs. Yadier Molina, Albert Pujols are on the team. You know I'm pulling for him. The Cardinals are sitting on top at 37-27. Don't know how, but they're a hot ball club too. NL West, Dodgers on top. Padres right behind them. Well, not even right behind them, tied with them. And the Giants right behind them. Dodgers 38-23, Padres 39-24, Giants 35-27. I'm going to go back to the American League before we go ahead and shift over
That
here.
NL West is nuts, huh?
The NL West is absolutely crazy. Every single year it's crazy. I don't get it, and the Giants are getting hot. Out of all odds, of course, they're 3.5 back, so they got to be in contention somehow. Going back to the AL West real quick. Colbs, I'm sad yet again, and we didn't even do a sports roundtable last week. The Angels. What the frick?
Oh, yeah.
Talking about a team that's nosediving.
God, they got two of the most prominent players in baseball, and they're terrible. Like here's the thing though, John, is in baseball, one star does not make a difference. Like the only place that it somewhat makes a difference is pitching. And yeah, Otani's a pitcher, and John, you'll know this better than I. Is he a great pitcher or is he just a good pitcher?
No, he's a great pitcher and he's a great hitter.
No, I know that he's a great hitter. That I'm aware of. But I didn't know to what extent his pitching level actually was. I knew that he was at least good. I didn't know if he was good or great.
So this season so far, 54 innings pitched and a 3.64 ERA, which is really damn good for really any pitcher in National League or American League. Unless, of course, you're one of the top guys out there, which Otani could be, but he doesn't pitch all the time, right? But big shout out also to Justin Verlander, 39 years old. I've said it last time.
The guy, is he going to win a Cy Young?
He might. He's got a 1.94 ERA this season. 1.94 ERA, which is
I know. I remember
insanity.
him being the best pitcher in baseball like 14 years ago. Where the hell did this come from?
Dude, Tom Brady started a new trend. Now everybody's trying to play forever, which I'm here for. Which brings me into the next Who's on Top segment. No, we're not going to talk about the NFL. Not yet. It'll be here sooner than you know, Colbs.
Oh,
let's try to enjoy summer
on this.
Oh, you have some NFL takes?
Yeah, I do.
Ooh, all right. Well, we're going to come back to that in just a moment. We got to mention the NBA. Colbs. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that aren't the biggest NBA fans, just to let you know, it's the Celtics and Warriors. And the Warriors are up 3-2 in the series, and my God, is it a heartbreaker? And the losses for the Celtics. I know this comes just from being up and living in Massachusetts now, being 45 minutes away from the city. You should see the amount of people that have Celtics apparel on. Absolute insanity. I saw a lot of sadness, a lot of sorrow. And I can't imagine it's probably people betting 25 or 50-cent bets like I do.
What the shit, Marcus Smart? Come on, Al Horford. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Marcus Smart. He's getting a lot of heat up there too. Dude, I don't know what's going on, man. I still think the Celtics have a chance. Colbs, before we talk about the NFL topic, let us know what the frig is going on with the NBA playoffs.
Yeah,
what's going on?
What I'll do is to shorten this a little bit so that we don't have to make this episode incredibly long. I won't give you necessarily the game 4 and then the game 5 breakdown, but what I will do is give you some of the kind of general series takes that I have to this point. So, John, a lot of this does go towards game 5. Now, I am going to start a little bit further back. Draymond Green, who has been a pivotal piece of the Warriors team since 2015, he's been garbage. Like I mean that. He was okay in game 5, but he was so bad that he got benched in game 4. And granted, the Warriors won that game. So Draymond got to say, like, yeah, you know what? I was fine with it. I'm telling you, if they lose that game, he's throwing a fit over that, though. But Draymond Green has been terrible. He's become such a non-offensive threat that they're basically treating him like Ben Simmons, just like back up to the bucket. And if he feels like shooting, let him. He's not going to hit it. So that's been hurtful towards Golden State. Now, from the Boston perspective, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, these guys got to take over the game because something that they've been relying on, and this started back in the Miami series, is Derek White and Al Horford, respectively, the two of them averaging roughly between the two about 22 points a game. Now, with them having any off games, that throws off everything. So where you're getting 22 points from them, and then in game 5, they come out and Derek White's got 1 point. Well, you're not going to make that up. Like you're supposed to get 22 between the two, and you come out with 10 because Al Horford puts up 9. So now you're missing 12 points that you should be getting, and you're not getting. But that's because you're relying on these role players, and you just can't when it comes to this spot in the NBA Finals. You have to have your stars take over the game. Jaylen Brown has shown at times that he's willing to do it. Jason Tatum has been not necessarily a ghost because he has made a presence felt. Even last game, he started the third quarter very early on. He hit 3 threes within a very short time period. But the Celtics have gone on runs in both game 4 and game 5, where in game 4, they went from 5:18 left in the game. They didn't score again until a minute 32 left in the game. So they left about 4 minutes on the table that they put no points on the board.
Oh, that's deadly.
You can't do that against Golden State, who can hit shots from anywhere. They don't even have to have a good shot and they'll make shots. They're going to continuously put points on the board. You cannot have lulls like that. Additionally, in game 5, basically they gave up the lead at the end of the third quarter. They went 3.5 minutes without scoring a bucket, and 7.5 minutes into the game, or into the fourth quarter rather, they had 5 points. 7.5 minutes, they had 5 points in the fourth quarter. Those were both winnable games for the Celtics, and they just shit the bed late in the game. And you cannot have that. And the way that you get past that is you don't go about, okay, let's just play team ball. Somebody will make a shot. Well, they play team defense, so they're going to be there for that. You need somebody that can take over the damn game. And they have 2 guys that can in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Those guys have to recognize, look, this is my time. I need to take this ball, and I need to make sure that this thing gets to the rim. And hey, if you get to the rim and you draw 2 there, then fine. Kick it out to the open man. That's smart basketball. But just by saying, hey, let's pass the ball around, and then when we get a guy that's relatively open to take a shot, you're not applying pressure by doing that. You have to get to the rim. And it's not like the Warriors are big enough to keep you out. If Kevon Looney's not on the court, you have no shot at getting to the rim. Or, I mean, you have every chance in the world of getting to the rim is what I mean. I meant the opposite. Because Kevon Looney's the only guy with any real size on that Warriors defense. Otherwise, it's Draymond Green playing the 5, and he's 6'8". Jason Tatum's 6'8". Jaylen Brown's like 6'7". Like these guys are big enough to get down there. They're big enough to get dirty with them. And they're just simply not doing it. They're playing shot basketball. They're trying to outshoot the Warriors. Let me reiterate, they're trying to outshoot the Warriors. That's a shitty way to try to win. They have to take this shit back over in game 6. They need to get to the rim. They need to execute. They need to make it happen. That's the only way that the Celtics have a chance of making this work. Because otherwise, we're looking at a Warriors team that's going to be winning a 4th title here. And the one part of this conversation that I am enjoying is that Andrew Wiggins has come on the last couple of games. He had a couple games ago, he had 17 points, 16 rebounds. And then last game, he had 26 points, 13 rebounds. Now there's the talk. Would Andrew Wiggins win the MVP if the Warriors win? Oh, can Andrew Wiggins please just put up like 60 points next game? And even if the Warriors win, and I don't want them to, but if they do, I want Andrew Wiggins walking away with that finals MVP. And I don't think that there's an argument to make for it because Steph Curry has played phenomenal with the exception of last game. And that's the final note that I'm going to leave you guys with, by the way. Steph Curry went 0 for 9 shooting 3-pointers in game 5. He only
Wow.
scored
Like, I did
16.
not watch it, Colbs, and for people that just, see basketball through highlights like myself, that doesn't seem like a reality. That does not even seem possible for Steph Curry to miss that many
No,
shots.
it doesn't, John. The last time that he didn't hit a 3-pointer in a game was 2018, and
What?
if you're going to have the game where Steph Curry does not hit a 3, you have to win that game. There's not an excuse. There's not a way around it. You got exactly what you needed. Steph Curry goes 0 for 9 from downtown. You never get that. You never get that. They gifted you that and you threw it away. Now you're down 3-2. Good luck getting another one of those in the next 2 games. Steph Curry's probably going to blow up for 38 points next game. I I feel like they've already lost the series, John. I don't think it's over, but it does feel a lot like it is.
Oh. Well, you know what? I'm hoping it just goes to the good old game 7. Just
Oh,
for
me
fun's
too.
sake.
I mean, I'm hoping Boston wins this thing to begin with, but even if they don't, I would prefer it goes 7 games just because I love the NBA, and when it's not my team that's involved, I just want it to be 7-game series all the way through. Like, I just want every, like, except for the first round, because the first round has some garbage teams in there that don't deserve to be in the playoffs. But when you get to the second round and on, if it's not the teams I'm rooting for, then I just get to please make this a good series. That's all I want.
Well, I mean, Colbs, if the NBA ends, I mean, you'll always have the big 3, that league, to watch.
Yeah, what I'll have is YouTube so I can rewatch games that I've enjoyed over the course of my lifetime.
Ugh, brutal. I tried to promote it. I tried my best. Colbs, what else do we got for everybody for the Sports Roundtable episode?
So, John, a little bit of football news came across the line here.
Hey.
John, this happened a little bit ago. It might have even been before we last recorded, but John, there's been a couple of retirements that have taken place, and
Oh, no. What
I
happened?
think they're pretty significant for you specifically.
Oh, Jesus. Let me look. What just
So
happened?
hold up. Nope, because I got you here. I'm gonna do these one by one. First off, Frank Gore. He is officially
Oh,
retired.
damn it.
So Frank Gore retires, third all time in rushing yards in NFL history.
Damn it.
Obviously, going to make the Hall of Fame. Granted, I don't think he's a top 10 running back of all time by any means, but that's besides the point. Frank Gore has had an excellent NFL career, and we will see you in Canton, sir. Second of which, John, there's a certain Harvard bearded hero that has found his way to the grounds of retirement. Ryan Fitzpatrick is now officially retired from the NFL.
Oh.
I knew this one was going to be heartbreaking for you, John, but I've got some uplifting stats for you. And John, I talked about this a little bit earlier on Nobody is Shiftier, and I think that you would have been very proud of me for giving these takes in the manner in which I did, because I gave your guy as much respect as I possibly could, somewhat on behalf of you. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, as I told you, Frank Gore finishes third all time in NFL rushing yards. Ryan Fitzpatrick, most people won't know this, 32nd all time in NFL passing yards.
Wow.
All time. And so there's going to be people that hear that and they go, well, what, that's not third. That's not that impressive. Well, here's some names that fell a little bit short of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Tony Romo, not as
Wow.
much as Ryan Fitzpatrick. Steve Young, not as much as
Wow.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Troy Aikman,
Oh,
not as much as Ryan Fitzpatrick. Kurt Warner, movie made about him, not as much as Ryan Fitzpatrick. And just to give you an active player, to give you some sort of semblance, because even though obviously Ryan Fitzpatrick's been in the league much, much longer, Kirk Cousins still has not hit where Ryan Fitzpatrick is as far as total passing yards. And one thing that I want everybody to keep in mind when they think of the career of Ryan Fitzpatrick, don't think, oh yeah, he played for like 20 years. Do you know how many of those years he actually started like for a team the whole season? Most of the time he came in as a backup or because somebody got hurt, somebody got benched. That was half the time that Ryan Fitzpatrick came into a football game. It was not just, hey, there were a few times that Ryan Fitzpatrick was the guy that they're like, yeah, this is who we need at quarterback. That wasn't the case in a lot of the teams that he played for. He came in there as the secondary quarterback and found his way onto the field and then still kept throwing 400 yards at a time. Now, I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick ultimately, as his legacy goes down, is just maybe one of the best backups that ever played in the NFL. But John, he had a very impressive career. And for what he
Yeah.
was, you're not going to do any better than that. I
No.
legitimately I commend him for his efforts in the NFL, and I think he just did a phenomenal job. John, I know you're sad to see these guys go because I know you root for these old guys that were around when you were still a teenager, and it makes you happy. And I'm with you on some of those occasions, but it's usually, like the great ones that I'm in there for. But yeah, John, we have no more Fitzpatrick, no more Fitzmagic. We got no more Frank Gore. And granted, I'm pretty sure the only reason he was able to play as long as he did is because he played for the University of Miami, where, well, you got to be tough to live down there. So I think that's where Frank Gore got all that toughness from. But John, as we move closer and closer to the beginning of the football season, dude, I'm getting excited. I'm telling you right now, like I'm starting to feel it a little bit, but I know it's just because the NBA is about to wrap up and the Stanley Cup final starts in, if I'm not mistaken, like 3 minutes. And there's all sorts of shit that's going on that I still have a little bit of like I've got time for it. It's still their time of the year, but I can tell that it's winding down considering that now there's 3 games or 3 days rather between games and basketball. It's no longer that I get a game every night. It's no longer that there's 2 games every night. It's no longer that I've got at least, well, I've got basketball, hockey, basketball, hockey. Now it's just like, okay, I've got basketball today. 2 days from now, I'll have hockey. The day after, I'll have basketball again. Then 2 days, nothing. Yeah, it starts to get a little bit more and more disappointing from here. And I still have just a little bit of life left in what is the NBA and NHL seasons, but inevitably we will be devolving into pre-game football talk, preseason football talk. We will be criticizing everybody in the NFL for moves they made in the offseason or praising them undeservedly. There will be teams that we say are going to be playoff teams that will absolutely not make the playoffs.
The
There will
Lions.
be teams that we say do not make the playoffs, have no shot in hell, and they win the division. It's going to happen, and I'm here for all of it.
The Lions. That's all I could say. Ladies and
Oh, yeah.
gents, September is getting very close. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Sports Roundtable. Make sure to stick around. We got a special guest coming up on Jacked and Can Show, which we're going to launch that off at 8:30 p.m. So if you saw this one and you want to see the next one, stick around. We're going to be back in just half an hour. To be continued. Colbs, we'll see you soon.